Right, we're finally gonna be done with the second gym in this game, though that comes with my own self-imposed Pokemon Stadium bit, and considering how things went the last time I compared the gym teams together, from Generation 1 to Generation 2, it did not end well for the Generation 2 team. You might want to get into more detail why you don't lose when it comes to bugs, because I'm fairly certain you kinda need to lose on occasion, just so your gym is still labeled as a gym for the Johto League. Not that the games really go into detail how gyms are run. That would require more world building than even the anime is willing to go through, even though two of the companions of the main character were gym leaders. And again, why is that a lower level bug when you're leveled up enough for it to be in its final form? Ugh. Was this originally supposed to be the first gym, but someone decided to put Falkner first? Then they just increased the levels of the Pokemon for the second gym and hoped nobody would find that odd? That doesn't quite feel right to me, considering how few pure flying types, or even flying types that aren't pretty strong in-game beasts like legendary birds or Aerodactyl, there are in the first two generations. There's just no way I'm gonna be able to get around that. The first two gyms in this game were not thought out properly enough, considering what the types bring to the table and how they work. At least Koga's Poison Gym could get away with it, since there were a number of pretty good Pokemon with Poison as a secondary type. The Poison type has been pretty iffy on its own since the first game, but they had enough workarounds to have some fun with that gym, and not pull the same iffy thing that the ground gym did, and have a lot of non-ground types in it. They justified it well with the whole Team Rocket thing, but it was still a bit shaky. Because of course they didn't have enough ground types to fully fill out the 8th gym. And when I think about it that way, I can't help feeling that the water type probably could get away with being the final gym in absolutely every region. It is just the most populated typing in the franchise, and quite a number of damn powerful Pokemon are in it. Yeah. Bugsy's being crunched about as well as I thought we'd rip through Falkner's gym, because where Falkner could kinda get away with having a Pidgeotto too early there, Bugsy, for some absurd reason, doesn't get Butterfree or Beedrill when he damn well should. Still, I suppose the Scyther coming in at the end is respectable enough, even if his two previous ones should have been beyond the Cocoon stage. He's not making me respect the type in general, just making me remember that I keep wanting a Scyther on my team. But they are so damn rare, I don't think I've ever had a team with one. Right, guess it was too much to hope that Lurker would be able to do more despite the 2-level disadvantage. Let's see if a 1-level disadvantage with a type advantage is enough to take him down. Probably would have been better to use Quick Attack again instead of Fury Cutter, but then who am I to give advice to the gym leader when I'm kind of a middling trainer by my own admission? Oh yeah, the guy who just doesn't have any respect for this gym whatsoever. Right, that's 12 wins for Grommash so far. Flender has 20, Lurker has 18. And the overall team score at this point is 77. We're doing pretty well as far as I can tell. Too bad I'm not going to feel that way when I fight against my previous team in Stadium as soon as we save in Crystal here. This is just going to be an entirely self-inflicted bit of humbling. But then it's not like the second generation has felt like it really added enough on its own compared to the first generation, in my opinion. I respect the things that they did to try to add to the experience, especially since the Game Boy Color wasn't all that much more capable than the older, more basic Game Boy, they could have gotten away with essentially releasing the same game yet again. But it really feels like they rushed this game out because they didn't know if the Pokemon fad would disappear on them. Maybe it's just that I'm so used to more modern games having extremely long development cycles that looking back at the timeline of how games were released back in the day, it's hard not to consider them rush jobs. But then most games these days go for graphics so good, my eyes can't comprehend the sheer number of pixels involved. It's hard to say how long a given game might need to work on level design, storytelling, and gameplay compared to all the various graphical crap. Oh, I wish I could say the same, but I've seen the future of Pokemon. The core of it is still pretty fun, but it will just stagnate to an astounding degree as I go from generation to generation. Though at the rate I'm going, we're not all that likely to see the other generations for a damn long time. You probably will in the next clip, but for now, we have a date with our old team in Pokemon Stadium. It's gonna be pretty one-sided against us when I get to the Gym 2 part, but it's still gonna be interesting to look at nonetheless, and we're gonna start off fighting against the Gym 1 team from Red, just to see how much we've grown. Oof. Ooh, I wasn't expecting Random to put us in the Little Cup stage. I'm pretty sure all Pokemon from both teams are a bit too high-leveled for the Little Cup stadium. Why did I even bother hitting Random anyway, since, yeah, I was probably just gonna hit free battle anyway. I am a lot of things, sir, but I am not impatient. It took me 23 clips to beat the second gym. I'm pretty sure I should have done that a lot sooner than that. Well, it doesn't look like Red Team has anyone that's super effective against Gramash, Flender, or Vincent. But notice how close the levels are for some of these guys. And then, again, remember, we are currently fighting against Red Team's first gym lineup when Crystal Team just beat the second gym. Yeah. And when we face the second gym from Red Team, oh good god, the level difference. So the Flying Rat is starting off against the more conventional Rat, huh?
What's the opening gambit? That did little damage.
Again, at these levels, even a small amount of damage can start to add up in a hurry. I certainly wouldn't want to rely on either of these teams to try to save the world or something.
The heated action continues.
If he doesn't need to use Quick Attack to outrun us despite the 3-level disadvantage, why did Nim bother to use it in the previous turn?
The hit glanced right off.
Son of a bitch, even with a 3-level advantage, Flender is getting his ass kicked in the first exchange. Sure, it's about as close as it's gonna get, but still not something that fills me with a lot of confidence on how the supposedly easier of the two stadium battles we're gonna go through is going to pan out as a whole.
Whoa, that was... Are both Pokemon running out of steam?
Yeah. And unfortunately, it looks like Flender isn't going to be able to increase his score here. Sorry, buddy, really wasn't expecting you to take 2 critical hits in that fight, and also thought you'd be able to finish it in 3 shots instead of 4.
What will be next? Oh, it's Spinarak!
Oh, this is just asking for the next Pokemon out to be Mig. It's funny how I miss having that Pokemon on my team, considering he's a basic bird we can easily catch in the second generation. But at this point, I'm trying to make sure my second generation team feels distinct enough from the first generation team that it's not essentially a mirror match. That's a little more awkward than you'd think, considering the Pokemon available at the start of each game, and the fact that I'm the player making the team choices for both games.
Pokemon of different types are squaring off in battle.
There's not really anyone great to switch over to, but I suppose Caboose is about as good a choice as any. I've really got to get some better anti-air options for Crystal Team. Either an electric or a rock type, but with only 6 slots to fill, and at this point in the series, 17 types, that means there's always going to be a few weaknesses on your team lineup no matter how you try to balance things out.
Oh, it's Gastly!
Wait, I picked Vincent? That was a horrible choice against Meg. Ghost can't hurt pure flying type because it registers as normal defensively for some reason, and flying can hurt Ghost because it isn't a normal attack. It's kind of an understandable mistake to make because that feels like absolute bullshit, but it's still a pretty embarrassing brain fart here. It doesn't matter that I've got a level advantage against these guys if I'm making mistakes like this against them. And I was really hoping that Spite would cause some actual damage there, not just remove some moves from his PP score, which isn't gonna mean much of anything considering how short these exchanges are. I just do not know the members of Crystal Team that well despite working with them for so many damn clips. Definitely not a great sign. Well, at least luck is somewhat on my side despite several screw-ups in this exchange. Still, Vincent should be reasonable enough to counter if Kohaku comes out. I don't remember if he has any poison attacks just yet. Right Pokemon to send out at the wrong time, essentially.
Another daunting Pokemon. It's fast asleep and can't be moved. How will this newly switched out Pokemon fare?
Well, hopefully he'll be able to take out a large chunk of the other team, because there's no way I'm trusting Venus against Phyllis. It's not like Lurker is going to do all that much better than Venus either with what they've got left. I was kinda hoping for Meg to stay asleep for longer, but that's probably asking for too much. Still, Red Team doesn't have any great answers against a fire type at this point, and with Gramash having the highest level from both teams right now in this battle, I'm pretty sure he's gonna sweep Red Team's Gym 1 lineup pretty well. Still, the fact that he's the only one that can be absolutely relied on in this fight isn't something that's making me feel in any way confident in the fight I've got lined up just after this one, which I know from the start is going to be very one-sided against us. And great, I'm tempted to send Caboose out for the sheer sake of giving him some more wins under his belt. Still not a great matchup against Kohaku, but that's only because Kohaku has Horn Attack, and Caboose hasn't learned any Psychic moves yet. Wait, Vincent again?! I thought I was looking at sending out Caboose! Dear God, I'm faking myself out here on commentary.
No good. What impact will this Pokemon switch have on the battle? What now? A light hit.
Huh. Does he not have Poison Sting at all? I don't remember Kohaku's move pool at level 13. I know that Sango doesn't have any very great moves this level. Was the choice for Vincent even better than I thought at first? It probably would have been a better idea for the AI to switch Pokemon in response, since apparently Kohaku can't fight back against Vincent. But I suppose they put some hard limits on what the AI is capable of doing in a given difficulty level in Pokemon Stadium, so things wouldn't get all that frustrating. I'm sure on hard the AI would be a lot more switch happy, not that they have a whole lot of great options here. Even with those limits, the AI in Pokemon Stadium and Stadium 2 is significantly more challenging than the AI we typically see in any of the mainline games. Much like with the animations we see in this game, it's pretty nice proof that Game Freak is actually capable of pulling things off at this level, and has been for a hell of a long time. So the fact that we never got to see this level of animation and battle difficulty in the Switch games, literally 19 years later, on much more powerful hardware, kinda gets even more infuriating to me. We were kids when Stadium was released. We had fun with it, despite the fact that it was essentially a very expensive add-on to the mainline games. And while I may not be the best judge of things, if they had made Pokemon Stadium-style games for absolutely every generation, I would have gotten them. And while the lack of a Pokemon Stadium-style game for Generation 3 wasn't absolutely disappointing to me, I still had a moment of confusion when I got Colosseum, and it didn't work anywhere near the same way that Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 did for the previous two generations. Colosseum had its own single-player campaign, which was kinda nice, but caught me off guard, where you capture Pokemon in an odd way, and you couldn't insert your own Pokemon from the Game Boy Advance games into it until you already had beaten the story, in which case, why would you want to bring them in? It was interesting, but much like Stadium, they stopped that idea after 2 games instead of continuing on with it for some reason. Anyway, I'm not expecting Vincent to gain anything more in this fight. Still, we've worn Red Team down to 3 Pokemon at this point, and since Vincent goes down, Crystal Team will still have 4, despite my earlier mistakes. And while Venus and Lurker probably would be poor matchups against what Red Team has left, we still got a pretty good advantage. In fact, I'm pretty tempted to end this clip with our win against Gym 1's Red Team, and then start the next clip with the fight against Gym 2's Red Team, if only so this clip ends on a high note. But I suppose I'll make that decision when I'm done working on the fight at hand. Not too sure that Phyllis is going to be sent out next, since we're done with Gaban here, but Gramash is most definitely going to add some more to his personal score here. Not enough to fully close the gap between him in 3rd place and the 2nd place on the board, but hey, 14 wins is still nice at this point, just 5 away from Lurker's 19. It's kind of funny how Gramash is undisputably the strongest Pokemon we've got, but he's got the 3rd most wins on the team. Probably because many times when I send him out, he gets to fight against tougher foes, which increases the amount of experience he gains, which means I end up switching to someone else on the team to spread the experience out more. Was definitely not expecting that critical to go in our favor, so yeah, this is definitely very one-sided in our favor.
This is the last Pokemon.
And that is an extremely bad matchup for Red Team. Not really sure if I like Typhlosion more than Venusaur as a whole, but I certainly like Typhlosion more than Charizard, that's for sure. Which is fair, because I don't like Magnium, the 2nd generation Grass Starter's final evolution, as much as I like Venusaur. Really, with that sort of thing, I'm kind of annoyed that outside of outright trading, there is no way to have a 2nd generation Fire Starter on the same team as the 1st generation's Grass Starter. Anyway, this feels like actually a pretty good point to end the clip. Hope it was fun to watch. Next time, Crystal Team gets a humbling. A very hard and brutal one.